Now on BBC News, the latest from New York and around the world. Business Today.
Live from New York at the opening bell, this is Business Today. A higher open for Wall Street as an AI deal helps investors shake off the ongoing US government shutdown. OpenAI takes a 10% stake in chipmaker AMD. A different story in Paris. Stocks sell off as France loses its second and shortest serving prime minister in less than a month. And getting back into gear. The UK's leading car maker, Jaguar Land Rover, is set to restart some production today following a major cyber attack. Welcome to Business Today, live from New York. I'm Michelle Fleury, and we start here in the United States, where Wall Street is up as investors overlook the government shutdown to buy into the latest big investment news in the AI sector. Today, it is the chat GPT maker OpenAI announcing it's agreed to buy tens of billions of dollars worth of chips from AMD as part of a deal to buy roughly 10% of the chip maker over time. Now, the move has sent AMD's share price through the roof, up double digits, currently trading 34% higher as OpenAI builds its artificial intelligence processing capacity for the future. But how will this latest, somewhat circular AI deal add to fears of a market bubble? To go through this, Rick Gardner is Chief Investment Officer at RGA Investments. He joins us now. Rick, good to see you. We've seen this before, tech giants chasing hot assets. Are we in dot-com territory again?
I don't think so. When you look at the AI picture and the story that's coming out, especially this morning with OpenAI and AMD, what we're seeing is companies that are profitable, that have good margins. There's a lot of infrastructure demand. It's a lot different than the dot-com bubble that we saw in the past.
And at the moment, I mean, you've got everyone buying into AI. Where are the opportunities left? Or do you think we're sort of at peak point?
I don't think we're at peak point. I think what we're looking at, the one constriction with AI, I think, is what presents the opportunity. It's the energy and infrastructure side of it. Chips, the data centers, the utility network that needs to be built around that still present an excellent opportunity. And it's where money is getting spent right now, as just shown with this OpenAI deal.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Elon Musk today talking about his efforts in Memphis to build out more data centers there. There are other deals going on at the moment, regional bank deals, Paramount buying Barry Weiss's Free Press. Does this mean deals are back? Is that what is driving the markets despite the government shutdown?
I think it could be. When you look at the government shutdown, what we're seeing there is short-term uncertainty. And as an investor right now, you're looking at long-term growth drivers versus that short-term uncertainty. And so I do think with interest rates potentially coming down even a little bit further, there's a lot more deal making to be done.
Rick Gardner, Chief Investment Officer at RGA Investments. Thank you there for your optimistic take on the AI sector this morning.
All right, thank you.
To France now, where markets dropped by nearly 2% in early trading after Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu's shock resignation today. The price of French long-term government borrowing rose and shares in French banks like BNP Paribas and Crédit Agricole fell. Mr. Lecornu has quit after less than a month in office, saying the conditions for him to do the job were not fulfilled. The move plunges the eurozone's second biggest economy into fresh political turmoil. He was the fifth prime minister in under 2 years, and President Macron has been attempting to build a government able to pass a deeply unpopular budget in an effort to address the burgeoning debt since calling a snap election last year. Well, to go through all of this, I'm joined by Tomasz Michalski, Associate Professor of Economics at the HEC Business School in Paris. Good to see you, Tomasz. Look, what does Lecornu's resignation tell us about the state of Macron's government? Is Macron losing control?
So it seems there is no consensus on how to proceed, and this is problematic. There is no clear majority that can be pieced together in the current parliament. What is more problematic for the future of the country is that any new elections will equally show a divided parliament and no clear majority. So there's no easy way out unless the center parties agree on some course of action earlier or later. The situation remains without a consensus. And moreover, you can say it's even unserious because the government was announced shortly an hour afterwards. One of the principal ministers, Bruno Retailleau, said he will not participate in this government. So this really gives another air of some kind of unseriousness that is reigning in the political class, and this does not go well.
Yeah, I mean, picking up what you're saying there, does this mean that France is ungovernable at the moment if it can't agree on a majority?
Unfortunately, yes. And perhaps they need to change the political system. It doesn't seem that the Fifth Republic is able to deliver stable majorities. Perhaps they need to try to change to some proportional elections where they could form coalition governments. It's unclear at this point. There are various scenarios forward that may happen, but the news is bad in the short run, especially. For example, there is no going to be an effort to lower the deficit from this year's deficit. This is what essentially that means today.
Right. Thomas, very briefly, here in the United States, obviously we've got a government shutdown at the moment. If France can't pass a budget and we're headed for paralysis, could you see something like that across the pond?
No, there was already a situation like this last year. Where there's then a special law that is passed that allows the state to collect taxes, borrow in the markets, and provide just current business. Now, any kind of a shutdown here would be extremely unpopular in any of the electorates. So none of the parliamentarians would dare to propose this. Last year, the special law was overwhelmingly voted in.
Thomas Mikulski, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
To Japan now, where markets hit record highs on Monday following the news that the country is set to get its first female prime minister. The governing Liberal Democratic Party chose Sanae Takaichi as its third leader in 5 years. She says she's facing a mountain of work, not least from the economy, which is facing sluggish growth, sticky inflation and stagnant wages. But her long-standing stance on fiscal policy seemingly is stoking investor interest, as this Japanese business consultant explained.
Takaichi-san's policy has been expressed to be very expansive. Some criticize that it is not disciplined in control of her debt, but she has been supportive of expansive monetary policy and expansive fiscal policy that is reminiscent of the Abenomics. She is kind of the pallbearer of the late Prime Minister Abe. So the market buoys at Takaichi-san's election because it signals the continuation of the expansive monetary and also aggressive fiscal expansion policy.
In auto news, Britain's leading car maker, Jaguar Land Rover, is set to restart some production this week. That's after a major cyber attack forced it to shut down factories and send workers home. It could, though, still be another month before its output gets back to normal. But while the stoppage is thought to have cost JLR hundreds of millions of dollars, the worst impact has been felt among its thousands of suppliers. And for many of them, the crisis is far from over, as our correspondent Theo Leggett explains.
If If you think about it as a pyramid, Jaguar Land Rover, the big fulcrum company, sits at the top, but beneath it there are layers and layers of suppliers. So you have the big guys, the likes of Bosch or Continental, who make the tyres and the electrical systems for JLR cars, but below that you have a layer of suppliers who supply the top level suppliers, and below them even more suppliers, and some of them JLR itself may have no direct contact with, and some of them are quite small companies with maybe tens of employees rather than thousands. And the last 6 weeks have seen many of them who are very dependent on business from JLR virtually without any income. They've had to send their workers home. They still had bills to pay, though, and they've been really struggling. So the fact that JLR is starting to get some production going this week, in all probability, is a good and positive thing. But those suppliers, they are still struggling because they still have that lack of income for 6 weeks now, and it's not clear how quickly production will get going either. It's expected to be at least a month before the production lines are back up to full speed. So it is still a very difficult time for the supply chain.
In Britain, as many as 30 million people could be in line for a payout if a class action lawsuit against the US tech giant Qualcomm goes their way. In the last few hours, a London court has begun hearing claims that the consumer watchdog, that the company inflated the prices it charged Apple and Samsung for some of the components they used in smartphones. Now, Qualcomm hasn't yet commented on the case. Our technology reporter is Shona McCallum. Tell us more, Shona, about the case.
Yes, so although this competition appeal tribunal is ongoing today, this case is actually in the works for a number of years now. And Qualcomm is the tech giant that people might not have heard of, but they make chips or semiconductors and they power most of our smartphones. This case was focusing on Apple and Samsung, which is the consumer rights group here in the UK. And they say that Qualcomm, because of market dominance, was able to inflate the prices of these chips which are in our smartphones. And so you went to a Samsung or an Apple shop, it actually had a knock-on effect on the price of the handset. Now, 29 million people here in the UK could be eligible for some kind of compensation if the case does go which's way. And that works out at about £17 per handset. It covers the years 2015 to 2024. And so you could have had various devices within that time, so people could be eligible for some more money than £17 a person. Now, Qualcomm have said that the similar case in the US was thrown out by a panel of judges. They've got a case ongoing in Canada, and previously they have had to pay a big fine in the EU. So if people in the UK are sitting at home wondering, when am I going to get my money? Unfortunately, with many of these cases, it's wait and see. And if past precedent is anything to go to, it might be some time before they find out.
Yeah, and Qualcomm share price bouncing around, down around 0.1% at the moment. Shona McCallum, thanks for joining us. Well, that is all we have time for. Stay with us here on BBC News.